Darkness has a way of creeping into the quiet corners of our lives, whispering secrets of the unknown. Tonight we invite you to dive into the chilling world of terror as we unveil 3 haunting stories that will send shivers down your spine. From shadows that linger where they shouldn't, to eerie encounters that defy explanation, these tales will keep you on the edge of your seat. Turn off the lights, brace yourself, and let's explore the mysteries that hide in the dark. Welcome to Creepy Stories. In a quiet town surrounded by dense forests, there was a little antique shop owned by an elderly woman named Margaret. Her store was filled with old clocks, vintage books, and porcelain dolls. Among these treasures, one particular doll always stood out. It was placed inside a glass case away from the others. The doll had lifelike green eyes, golden curls, and a delicate dress made of lace. But what made it most unsettling was its faint smile, which seemed to change depending on the angle you looked at it. Margaret never spoke of the doll to her customers. She never put a price tag on it, nor did she let anyone hold it. Curious visitors often asked about it, but her response was always the same: "It's not for sale." However, one rainy afternoon, a young woman named Claire entered the shop. She was a collector of antiques, fascinated by the stories behind each piece. Her eyes immediately locked onto the doll. Something about it seemed to call to her. Claire asked Margaret about the doll, but the old woman hesitated before saying, "This doll is special and dangerous." Margaret explained that the doll had belonged to a little girl named Eleanor, who had died tragically over a century ago. The doll, according to local legends, was cursed. "People who own it," Margaret said, "claim they hear it whispering at night." Ignoring the warning, Claire begged to buy the doll. She promised to take good care of it and even offered a large sum of money. Reluctantly, Margaret agreed, but not without a stern warning: never leave the doll unattended in the dark. Excited about her new acquisition, Claire brought the doll home and placed it on a shelf in her bedroom. That night, as she was falling asleep, she thought she heard faint whispers. It was barely audible, like a breeze carrying soft words she couldn't quite understand. Dismissing it as her imagination, she turned over and went to sleep. The next morning, Claire found the doll in a different position. It had been sitting upright on the shelf, but now it was slightly tilted, as if it had moved. Thinking it must have fallen and she hadn't noticed, she fixed its position and went about her day. But each night, the whispers grew louder. One evening, her best friend Mia came over. Claire, half laughing and half nervous, told her about the doll and the strange occurrences. Mia, skeptical, suggested they test it. They placed the doll in the living room, turned off all the lights, and sat quietly with their phones recording. For a few minutes, nothing happened. But just as they were about to give up, a chilling voice whispered, "Why did you leave me here?" Startled, Mia turned on the lights. The doll was no longer sitting on the couch where they had placed it. It was now on the floor, its lifelike eyes staring directly at them. Panic set in, but Claire refused to believe it was anything more than a coincidence. Mia, however, wanted nothing more to do with the doll and left in a hurry. That night, Claire decided to lock the doll in her closet. She placed it inside a wooden box and wrapped it tightly with rope, thinking this would put an end to the whispers. But at 3 a.m., she woke up to the sound of soft tapping. The noise was coming from the closet. Her heart raced as the tapping grew louder and louder, turning into banging. Then a voice called out clear as day, "Let me out!" Claire froze, her body paralyzed with fear. The voice was coming from the closet. Gathering her courage, she grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. Slowly, she approached the closet door. Her hands trembled as she reached for the doorknob. The banging stopped and silence filled the room. She hesitated, her mind racing. Was this just her imagination? But as she stood there trying to calm herself, the voice returned, louder and angrier. "Let me out!" With a scream, Claire swung the door open. The box she had sealed was now wide open, and the doll was sitting upright on the floor. Its faint smile seemed sinister, and its green eyes appeared to glow faintly in the dark. Terrified, Claire grabbed the doll and threw it out of the closet, her hands shaking. She couldn't keep it any longer. Without a second thought, she drove to a nearby lake, determined to get rid of it. She hurled the doll into the water, watching as it sank beneath the surface. For the first time in days, she felt relief. That night she slept soundly, free from whispers or noises, but her relief was short-lived. The next morning, Claire woke up and found the doll sitting on her nightstand, water dripping from its hair and dress. A note was tucked beneath it, written in delicate, childlike handwriting. "You can't leave me. We're friends forever." Panic consumed her as she realized the curse was far stronger than she'd imagined. She tried burning the doll, burying it, even giving it away to strangers. But no matter what she did, it always found its way back. Each time it seemed angrier, its whispers turning into threats, its smile growing wider. Days turned into weeks, and Claire began to lose her grip on reality. She barely slept, afraid of what the doll might do if she let her guard down. Desperate, she tried contacting Margaret, but the shop was boarded up and no one seemed to know where the old woman had gone. Desperation consumed Claire. She sought help from Daniel, a local paranormal investigator. When Claire placed the doll on his desk, Daniel's face darkened. "This isn't just a cursed object," he said. "It's a vessel. Something or someone is bound to it." Daniel explained that destroying the doll wouldn't work. "You need to sever the spirit's connection," he warned. He suggested a ritual to confront the entity. That night, Claire and Daniel set up a salt circle in her living room. Candles flickered as he chanted in an ancient language. Suddenly the air grew icy, and the doll's eyes seemed to glow brighter. A voice echoed, shrill and angry. "You won't take her from me!" The doll's head turned toward Claire, and a ghostly figure appeared, a young girl with hollow eyes. It was Eleanor. "I just wanted a friend," the spirit wailed. Her voice was sorrowful but laced with anger. Claire, shaking, spoke softly. "You're hurting people, Eleanor. It's time to let go." Eleanor's face twisted in rage. "They always leave me," she screamed as books flew from shelves and the room shook violently. Daniel shouted, "Grab the doll! Confront her fear!" Claire, trembling, clutched the doll. "Eleanor," she said firmly, "I won't leave you, but you must move on." The chaos stopped. Eleanor's ghost softened, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered before dissolving into light. The doll went limp in Claire's hands. The nightmare seemed over. Claire buried the doll deep in the forest, hoping to bring peace to Eleanor and herself. But sometimes, in the still of the night, Claire swears she hears a faint whisper, "We're friends forever." The line between the ordinary and the supernatural is often thinner than we realize. These stories remind us that sometimes the unknown lingers closer than we'd like to believe. As you turn off this video and return to the comfort of your own space, don't be too quick to dismiss that faint whisper or that shadow in the corner of your eye. After all, who knows what might be watching from the dark? If you enjoyed these tales of terror, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.